The sheriff's cruisers appeared on my private road like a slow-moving storm, silent, heavy, and full of bad intentions. Their lights flashed across the dust hanging in the summer heat, red and blue strobes cutting through the stillness of my ranch. I had seen plenty of dramatic entrances in my career, but watching two cruisers crawl toward my home like they were responding to a hostage situation, that was new. And then I saw her, Linda Hawthorne, the self-declared queen of the Hawthorne Ridge HOA, standing at my gate with her arms crossed and her chin tilted so high she looked like she was posing for a statue nobody asked for. She wasn't even trying to hide the satisfaction plastered across her face. She grinned like someone who believed, truly believed. She was about to watch a man get carried off his own land in handcuffs. I set my coffee down, not because I was scared, but because the moment I saw her I knew she hadn't just crossed a line today, she had erased it completely. I stepped onto my porch, adjusting my belt out of habit. A habit that came from 25 years of being a U.S. Marshal. The kind of habit you don't lose even when you hang up the badge. The lead deputy walked up first. He was young, too young, the kind who still rehearsed authority in the mirror before every shift. His hand rested near his holster like he expected trouble. "Sir," he said, voice slightly forced, "we received a report of trespassing and illegal occupation of this property."
Illégale occupation.
Of my ranch. The irony was so thick you could have shoveled it. Linda practically vibrated with excitement behind him. Bouncing on her toes, arms crossed higher, smirk growing wider. This wasn't a misunderstanding for her. This was her victory parade. That's when I reached into my back pocket. I pulled out my badge, my federal credentials, retired U.S. Marshal, clear as daylight. The sun hit that metal and the young deputy's face drained faster than water down a bust. When I retired, I wanted one thing: space. Quiet. Land I didn't have to share with neighbors obsessed with rules, written by people who'd never done a hard day's work. My ranch sat completely outside any HOA boundaries. Zoned agricultural since the 1940s. Grandfathered long before Hawthorne Ridge became a cluster of identical houses with identical lawns and identical people pretending to be important. But the minute Linda became HOA president, she also became something else. Obsessed. The first letter arrived 2 weeks after I moved in. Typed in that fake professional HOA tone. "Dear resident, your property has been found in violation." Violations included my cedar fence, my century-old barn, my tractor, my rooster, even my hay fields. She wasn't enforcing rules. She was enforcing her fantasy of control. I walked over to her house with the letter in hand, trying to be polite. She opened the door wearing business casual clothing that screamed, "Unemployed but bossy." "Ma'am," I said, "there's been a misunderstanding. My land isn't part of your HOA." She blinked at me like I'd spoken in ancient Latin. "All properties in this area fall under our governance," she replied slowly. "We enforce standards for the good of the community." "My deed predates your subdivision by 60 years, I explained. "You have zero authority on my land." She barely glanced at my documents. "We'll see about that," she said, and slammed the door in my face. That was the moment I realized something. Linda wasn't confused. She was threatened by anything she couldn't control. It escalated fast. She started taking photos from the road with a zoom lens so long I thought she was birdwatching. She stood at my fence line with a clipboard, scribbling notes like an undercover code inspector. Violation notices became daily. Unauthorized structures. Unapproved livestock. Noise disturbance. Noise disturbance. From a rooster. One morning, I found her on my land, tape measure in hand, checking the distance between my coop and her development like she had actual jurisdiction. "You're trespassing," I told her. She puffed her chest. "I am conducting official HOA business." "No, you're committing a misdemeanor on property you don't control." But Linda didn't back down. Not yet, because she wasn't done climbing over lines. Literally. 3 weeks later, I heard my gate rattle. The gate I kept locked. I rounded the fence and there she was, climbing over the top, red-faced and sweaty, clutching a manila folder, huffing, She stormed toward me and held it up like a royal decree. I have here a cease and desist order requiring you to vacate this property immediately. It was printed from a free website. Wrong codes, wrong laws, wrong everything. Linda, I said, this isn't legal. You can't evict me. You don't even have authority here. She jabbed a finger toward me. I am the president of Hawthorne Ridge. My authority extends to any property that affects community values.
No, irraplia.
It doesn't. And that's when she made her biggest mistake yet. She pulled out her phone, dialed 911, and reported me as a dangerous squatter refusing to leave. She even added fake trembling to her voice. And that was it. That call set everything in motion. Back to the driveway. The deputies stood there, realizing slowly, painfully slowly, that everything she told them was a lie. The senior deputy stepped out of the second cruiser. He recognized me instantly. Marshal Dawson, he said, respectful and apologetic. I'm sorry for the confusion. He turned to Linda. Ma'am, you reported a trespasser, but records show this land belongs to him. And you climbed over a locked gate. I have authority here, she insisted, but her voice was cracking like old paint. No, ma'am, he said, firm now. You don't. And filing a false police report is a crime. Her mouth opened and closed. Nothing came out. The deputy turned back to me. Marshal Dawson, would you like to press trespassing charges? I hesitated. Not because she didn't deserve it. She did. But because part of me was tired. Tired of the fight. Tired of the drama. Tired of her harassment. Then I remembered the letters. The stalking. The lies. Yes, I said. And I'll also be filing for a restraining order. Linda gasped like she'd been stabbed. You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president. The deputy didn't blink. Ma'am. Hands behind your back. The cuffs clicked. Her fantasy world shattered. Small towns spread news faster than fire. By evening, everyone knew the HOA president had been arrested for trespassing on a U.S. Marshal's ranch. They invited me to the next HOA meeting. Linda sat in the back, pale, shaking, humiliated but still trying to look important. I walked to the front, explained my property lines, my deed, the zoning laws she ignored. Then I said the line that detonated the room. I did some digging into why she was so desperate to push me off my land. I held up a folder. Inside was a proposal Linda had submitted to the HOA months earlier, a plan for an equestrian expansion requiring acquisition of adjacent agricultural land. My land. Gasps, shouts, whispers. The room erupted. Neighbor Tom flipped through the papers. This expansion depends on acquiring his property, he said, staring at Linda. Were you trying to force him off his land so the HOA could take it? It's not stealing, she shouted. It's a strategic community improvement. It's fraud, someone yelled. Abuse of power, another added. The board voted unanimously to remove her and ban her from ever holding office again. Her face was fire red and frozen in shock. But it wasn't over. The district attorney reviewed everything. He didn't hesitate. Charges, trespassing, harassment, filing a false police report, attempted fraud. 6 months later, I sat in the courtroom as the judge delivered his verdict. Ms. Hawthorne, the judge said, you abused your position to intimidate a lawful property owner. Your actions were calculated, reckless, and deceptive. He sentenced her to 18 months probation, 200 hours of community service, $15,000 in fines. When the bailiff led her away, she looked at me with broken disbelief. All that HOA power she clung to, gone. Ripped away like a mask in a courtroom full of people finally seeing her for what she was. My ranch returned to peace. No more trespassing. No more letters. No more fake authority. The horses grazed again without her hovering. The sunsets felt quieter. The gate stayed locked, not to keep people out but to keep toxic power from creeping in. I learned something through all of it. Some people don't want authority. They want control. And when they lose it, they unravel. But me, I just wanted peace. and I finally got it back.